Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is Thursday, August 2nd, and we have UFC 227 coming up this weekend from the Staples Center in LA. It's going to be a great card, a lot of handicapping, interesting handicapping situations. I think I'm seeing some value. We'll see if our regular guest, MMA and boxing expert analyst Andreas Hale, agrees with my opinion. Andreas Hale, thanks for being back with us one more time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Pete.
All right, Andreas, I'll be very interested to hear what your take is on some of these fights, because there's a few that I definitely thought I was seeing value with and bet. Others, I'm not sure if, they're looking a little bit confusing to me, and I'm wondering if you think they're a pass or if there is betting value one way or the other. And one of those is definitely the main event, Cody Garbrandt against TJ Dillashaw. Of course, this is the rematch. We know the backstory with these two guys, right? They're longtime training partners. They were teammates, and they know each other inside and out. That, of course, can be an advantage for either fighter, or it can be a disadvantage. In the last fight, it does appear that that advantage was conferred to Dillashaw, although we saw how close that fight was, right? Garbrandt obviously has huge knockout power in his right hand and almost did catch Dillashaw at the end of the first round in their first matchup. So Dillashaw got a great, intense win with a finish in their first fight, but he easily could have lost that one as well. The question is, who is likely to have the advantage here? Dillashaw, as you would expect, is the small favorite. What do we expect different from this fight? I'm thinking that maybe the best way to bet this one is one way or the other, that there's not a finish here. But even that one, if these guys really, because they know each other so well, if they both employ very, very effective defensive tactics and there's no finish early, I could easily see this one turning into a little bit of a tactical war of attrition that does go to the card. So I don't know what I think about this one. What's your take on it, Andreas Hale? You think there's any betting value any which way here?
Yeah, actually, I do. I think there's a lot of betting value with TJ Dillashaw. The reason why
Really?
is this: if you look at Dillashaw in his past fights, when he has a rematch, he fares much better than the first fight. He game plans a lot better, and he does things a little bit differently the second time around. He neutralizes his opponent's strengths and plays towards their weaknesses, and he usually can either finish them or just have an exceptional performance. You look at the Renan Barão fight, you look at the Rafael Santos fight. Those are two fights he looked much better the second time around. Cody Garbrandt, the question is, he's showing sense to win this fight, but is he a little shell-shocked because he lost his first UFC fight by knockout to his arch rival, his nemesis? So I think he comes out a little bit more passionate. I think TJ Dillashaw is a better game planner here, and I think there's a lot of value in picking Dillashaw to win the rematch. Whether it's by decision or by finish, that's the part I'm not sure about, because it's all dependent on how Cody Garbrandt fights his fight. TJ's a counter striker. He uses his footwork like Dominic Cruz, likes to confuse his opponents, but he also likes to wait and see what his opponent does. If Cody's super aggressive, TJ could finish him. But if not, it could go the distance. But one way or another, I just think TJ's a better all-around fighter than Cody Garbrandt and should win this fight.
Interesting. So you see TJ as a better all-around fighter. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I'm just remembering the first fight where, before TJ did get his win, he was close to being finished, and there were definitely as many times in the first fight where it looked like Garbrandt clearly had the edge over Dillashaw, and then Dillashaw would have some successful kick, a kick to the head, and all of a sudden, bam! Right after that, his confidence would come back. But when Dillashaw's confidence was gone, he looked as vulnerable as Cody did when his confidence was gone in the first fight.
Yeah, but the difference is that TJ makes adjustments. Cody hasn't proven to make adjustments yet, and I'm a little concerned about how Cody Garbrandt, a guy who fights off of ego and his ability, his confidence in himself. I'm a little concerned about how he's going to head into this fight, knowing that he lost the first fight by knockout. I think that's going to affect him a little bit, and because of that, I think Dillashaw just plays the game a little bit different. He makes those minor adjustments, because that first round was almost disastrous, but he looked a lot better in the second round, closing the distance and finding the counter strike and setting up that head kick. I think he makes those adjustments again against Cody Garbrandt and wins this fight. I like Cody a lot. He looked exceptional against Dominic Cruz, but I just don't know where his head's at. And Cody seems like a guy who mentally always has to be in the fight.
Yeah, this definitely does seem like a fight, as you could kind of tell in the first fight, where it's almost more of a mental battle and more of a tactical battle, since they both know what the other one's going to do. In the first fight, it was clear that Dillashaw was very, very well prepared for the threat of that right hand. He knew when it was coming, he knew how to guard against it, and he did a very good job of that. So it does look like a fight that once again is going to be more mental than anything else. And you think that? I'm wondering if maybe because Dillashaw did win the first fight, maybe there's just a little bit of an edge that the determined edge that will be gone from him here, whereas Garbrandt will be like, all right, I got beat, I got knocked out, I cannot take it easy, cruise for even 1 second of this fight, otherwise I'm going to get knocked out again. Maybe the fact that he got knocked out confers a psychological edge to Garbrandt. No?
I don't think so. I don't think so. A lot of guys, when you lose your first fight, you're not the same. Let's go look back and look at what happened to Francis Ngannou. When he lost to Stipe Miocic, he came to the fight with Derek Lewis and was completely gun-shy. I'm not saying Cody Garbrandt will be gun-shy, but I think when you get knocked out by the guy and you're very passionate about that fight, it changes your approach. And even though, as well as you can possibly prepare, when you see that man standing across the octagon from you and know what he did to you, it could either light a fire under, or you could wilt under the pressure. I'm just not sure about Cody being incensed in this fight. I don't know where his head's going to be at. I think TJ is going to be the calmer guy. He has the title now. He knows Cody. He figured he could beat Cody the first round. It's a big psychological advantage for TJ Dillashaw.
All right, so TJ, of course, is a small favorite here. Not a ton of movement at all on this line. Do you want to make TJ an official pick here?
Yes, I am. I'm going to make TJ Dillashaw an official pick.
All right, it's all the way from 115 to 125. Andreas Hale is going to make a TJ Dillashaw minus 115, an official pick. I was maybe thinking about taking a shot with Garbrandt, at plus 105 or so. If I was going to take Garbrandt, I would definitely, though, take him inside the distance, because I think if the fight goes the distance, it's probably because Dillashaw has the advantage and just couldn't finish Garbrandt, whereas if Garbrandt gets the win, probably it's because he catches Dillashaw at some point and gets a finish.
Yeah, I would think so. Even though TJ's got a tough chin, I'm not sure that Cody Garbrandt can win a 5-round decision against TJ Dillashaw. But that being said, I'm staying off of that.
Yeah. Garbrandt inside the distance right now 5 times is plus 185. Just for people who are thinking about the total, I'm looking at this fight. I'm thinking that we're very likely to get a finish, but I'm also thinking that because they know each other so well, maybe the fight is likely to go over. The total right now is 2.5 rounds. You know, the over is about minus 125, so I'm vaguely thinking about a shot with the over there. I also do think there's going to be a finish eventually. That's scheduled for 5 rounds. The fight not going the distance is minus 215. I know those are highly anti-correlated opinions. That just indicates how confused I am about what's most likely to happen here. What's your take on how long the fight goes, if any?
Yeah, these 2.5 rounds, it's really interesting, because if you look at the last fight, it only went 2 rounds, and obviously both guys are going to defend against the knockout. But 7.5, a little over, 12 minutes? That's a lot of time for somebody who can get stopped. So I'm going to stay off of that. I like the over slightly, but I'm not in love with it where I make it an official pick.
Yeah, and I would be leaning maybe on the fight not going the distance, although, again, like I said in the beginning, there could be a little bit of a defensive war of attrition here, and if that's the case, it could go the distance, and then I don't want to take that at minus 215. So after all that, I'm going to pass, but Andreas Hale has given TJ Dillashaw at minus 115 currently as an official pick. We'll see where this line closes. Hard to imagine that it'll close much further from where it is right now. Now let's move on to the next fight, Henry Cejudo against Demetrius Johnson. This is a very interesting matchup as well. This is a fight that I was also thinking, of course, this is also a rematch, and DJ got an early finish in the first fight. So I was thinking, this is also scheduled for 5 rounds. I was thinking that maybe I would be thinking about a shot with the over here, but the total was set at 4.5 rounds. So basically, and it's gotten bet down. It opened at 4.5. The under was plus 100. Now the under is minus 150. So money has come in on the under. I was thinking that maybe I would take a shot with the over. It was 2.5 or maybe 3.5 rounds at a dog, but obviously that is not the case. The fight going the distance is plus 135 right now. My reason for thinking that is obviously, DJ is considered the top pound-for-pound fighter in MMA right now, but Cejudo is clearly improving with every fight. He's clearly going to be a lot better than he was in their first fight, and I just like Cejudo here. I don't know if I like him enough to actually bet on him to get a win, even at the big underdog line, but I was liking him enough to bet on him to maybe last longer than the first fight, but unfortunately the total is 4.5 rounds. What's your take on this one, Andreas Hale?
Same fight as the first time around. Maybe it lasts a little bit longer. I don't think Henry Cejudo has made some improvements. I mean, a lot of people haven't talked about the loss to Joseph Benavidez in the fight right after the Demetrius Johnson, which was very close. But he showed improved hands. He looked great against Hilson Reyes, and he looked great against Sergio Pennis. Neither of those guys are Demetrius Johnson. And Demetrius Johnson brings a completely different skill set than anybody that Cejudo's fought. Those knees were a problem. And I think, with Demetrius Johnson being a killer as of late, a guy who likes to look for the finish, I don't think Cejudo lasts, 4.5 rounds. I think that Demetrius finishes this fight not as fast as the first time, but dominant fashion. Probably stops him somewhere near the 3rd or the 4th round. Probably a submission. Could be a knockout. I mean, he could just open up some holes in this game. But I just think, your opponent the first time. I don't think too much has changed the second time around to make this any different.
So you don't think that Cejudo has made significant enough improvements to expect anything radically different from what we saw in the first fight?
No, his striking's improved, but again, you look at who he's faced, they're just not Demetrius Johnson. He's
Right.
looked good, but I don't think this is not the skill set that you're going to use to beat Demetrius Johnson. Henry Cejudo's a wrestler. He's an Olympic wrestler, and that was always his strength. Over the course of the next three fights, his striking has improved, but his base is going to be his wrestling. If he tries to be a striker, he's going to lose his fight and lose it very badly. He's got to stick to what he knows, which is his wrestling. Maybe mix in some striking, and maybe he has a chance. But I think he thinks of himself as a striker now. I think it's going to cost him.
All right, well, DJ right now, of course, is a huge favorite, minus 500. But if you think that you have a really good read on how this fight is likely to turn out, there are some big dog lines right now available at 5 dimes on the specific result. DJ wins in round 3 plus 750. DJ wins in round 4 plus 1050. So you're getting almost 11 to 1 on DJ to win in round 4. DJ wins in round 5 is plus 1350. If you expect DJ to get another win here, but maybe it'll take him a little bit longer, maybe one of those prop bets is the way to go here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really like the third round here. I won't make it an official pick, but I like it a lot. Just if I have some extra change in my pocket, I might put it down here. But I'm going to go with the under because I think DJ finishes this fight at some point between rounds 1 and 4. I just don't know which one. And it really depends on Henry Cejudo's aggression because Demetrius is great at using it against you. So I'm going to go with the under here, but I will lean heavily on this fight ending in the third round.
All right, so you're going to make that one an official pick, under 4.5. The best line right now would be minus 150.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take that under 4.5 and minus 150.
All right, Andreas Hale taking under 4.5 minus 150 again. This one opened at 4.5 plus 100, so a big market movement towards the under. And Andreas Hale thinking there might still be value at minus 150. I'm going to pass for now as well. This is just a very tough fight. Not exactly. Let me just ask you this: we remember when Jose Aldo was sort of thought of in similar terms to DJ right now, and of course, eventually he did wind up losing. But there was a time when people thought there's just no way that Aldo is ever going to actually lose a fight. He's just winning game in and game out. He looks like he has no holes in his game. When do you think that will start to happen to DJ?
I don't know if it will. I think it's not necessarily the fault of Jose Aldo. I think the Conor McGregor that came along is the guy who changed Jose Aldo's life. There isn't a Conor McGregor in the flyweight division right now that could really change Demetrius Johnson's strategy. He's ran roughshod over the entire division. So if he were to slow down, it would be against somebody like TJ Dillashaw at a catchweight fight with champion versus champion. I don't see anybody in the division giving Demetrius Johnson problems. I think he's at a point now where, he might even be considering retiring at this point because he's just too good.
Right. I hear you. All right, Andreas Hale with 2 picks in the first 2 fights. I'm going to pass on both of them. Now let's go to the 3rd and 4th fights on the card with 2 big underdogs. These were the fights that I thought had some value. Kevin Holland against Thiago Santos and JJ Aldredge against Viana. And I thought that both of the underdogs might have some value here. Santos obviously was a big favorite, but Holland is a strong prospect, right? Competed in Bellator and LFA, and this is obviously a big step up for him. And Santos is a brutal finisher, but he also leaves himself exposed. And the question is, how much will Holland be able to deal with the step up in class? If he can deal with it reasonably well, which I think he might be able to, it might be a good bet that he can. You're getting a big underdog line here. He's about plus 300, and inside the distance might be, because that's how Santos loses that's how he tends to lose when he loses. Maybe Holland inside the distance at an even bigger underdog line might be worth an even more value shot. What do you think?
Oh, man, it's tough, man. Thiago Santos hits really hard, hurts people. But, yes, he has some glaring holes in his game. Kevin Holland's a guy, I don't know if he can take advantage of him. It's a very tantalizing underdog line here where you think, well, Thiago Santos is one mistake away from getting knocked out, and it could be against anybody. And Kevin Holland could be that guy. I'll lean heavily towards Kevin Holland because I like the line. I like the value there, but I can't make it an official pick because I just don't know if Kevin Holland can make this step up in class to beat somebody like Thiago Santos.
Yeah, Holland right now, he was a plus 320 when I analyzed it. Still around there, not a ton of money. He's been down a little bit. It's plus 300 at Pinnacle, and Holland inside the distance is plus 425. That might have a little bit more value because, again, if Santos loses this one, it's probably because he does get caught. And yeah, when you look into the matchups, Holland is not exactly the perfect kind of guy who has the skill set to be able to take advantage of Santos' holes, but still would be able to. He's just not. He doesn't have the optimal fighting style that you would want. So it's going to be a pass for you, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to pass on this one. I looked at it very closely, but yeah, I can't pull the trigger on it.
Okay, and then just very quickly, how about the under? Because I also think that if Holland does get a win, it's probably because he catches Santos. If he doesn't get a win, it's probably because he just gets steamrolled. The total is 1.5. The under is minus 145, and the fight not going the distance is minus 400. Anyway, this fight hits the cards. 3 rounds scheduled for.
Oh man, doubtful.
All right.
Doubtful. I doubt it. I won't make that official pick either, but I just think, yeah, one way or another, somebody's going to sleep in this fight.
Okay, and then let's move on to the Aldredge-Viana fight. Now, this is one I did bet. This is one where I also like the underdog, and this line has moved. When I was looking at this one, Aldredge was around plus 240. Now she's down to about plus 180. BetOnline has plus 185, and I think that because of her fighting style, she's also much more likely to win this one by decision than inside the distance. I'm thinking that Aldredge probably still has a little bit of value at plus 185, and probably still has a little bit more value at winning this one by decision. I think if Viana gets the win, it's probably because it comes inside the distance. What do you think about Aldredge as a big underdog and Aldredge by decision at plus 300?
Aldredge by decision is pretty much the only way you can go with this fight. I don't see her finishing this fight, but I think that she can find a way to win this fight. Let's put it like that. It's a 3-round fight against somebody who's, a rising prospect who's a pretty heavy favorite, but I don't think she should be that much of a favorite. Aldredge is good. She has great octagon control. She has solid wrestling. She beat Danielle Taylor, who's like a midget, but that's a completely different story. But I think that Aldredge has a lot of value here by winning decision. If you're going to bet her, you have to bet her to win decision. I don't see any way that she finishes this fight.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of these fights where, you have a highly touted fighter in Viana who's put together a string of impressive wins, but they've all been against regional competition. And Aldredge, for all her wins and losses in her career, has definitely faced tougher competition in her career overall so far. You'd agree with that, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. It's Viana just she just looks better if you look at those regional fights, but it's just, when you take that step up in competition, things can change. Especially when you make your second UFC fight, things could be a little bit different for you. I don't know if she's going to come out with that same fire that she had in those regional bouts. But again, the fight like this, if you're going to pick Aldredge, you got to pick her by decision.
Yes.
There's no other way I can see it. And I won't go any other way, but I'll lean heavily. I still can't make that official pick because I like Viana a lot. I just don't like it as this much of a favorite.
Okay, well, I can make this one an official pick. Andreas Hale, I'm making it 2 picks here. Aldredge by 3-round decision, currently plus 300 at 5 dimes. And I'm also going to take the fight going the distance, just scheduled for 3 rounds at minus 145 at 5 dimes. Those are 2 official picks for me. The fight goes the distance at minus 145 and Aldredge by decision at plus 300. So I've got 2 picks going so far. Andreas Hale has 2 picks going so far. Then the 5th fight, I don't know what to make of this one. Cub Swanson against Carnero. Carnero, a huge favorite. Obviously, it was only very recently that Swanson was a legitimate contender at 145 pounds, and now he's just coming off of back-to-back ugly losses. How much does he have left in the tank? How big of an underdog should he be here? I don't know. It's a pass for me. You think there's any way that is worth betting this fight, Andreas?
Actually, I do, and I like Cub Swanson a lot. Yeah, I mean, you lose to Brian Ortega, but we've seen what Brian Ortega just did to Frankie Edgar. You lose to Frankie Edgar, this is Frankie Edgar, so there's not a lot of stock you can put in those particular losses. He shouldn't be this big of an underdog. At plus 300, I see a lot of value in Cub Swanson. If it was straight up, I would go the other way, but with this much value here, this is something I would lean heavily towards, and you know what? I'm just going to make it an official pick. It's plus 300. Why not? I'm going to take Cub Swanson. He's an exceptional striker. He's a solid wrestler. He's a great athlete. Yes, he's been in a lot of wars over the course of his career, but I think he has enough to pull out one more victory, and I'm actually going to go ahead and pull the trigger on this one.
All right. Well, this line is all over the place. The line for Cub Swanson is there's a 100-cent difference between the top and bottom line in the market right now. The worst line for Swanson is plus 265 at Intertops. The best line is plus 360 at BetMania. Pinnacle has plus 300. Bookmaker 325. So the market is all over the place with this line currently. So we'll give Andreas Hale the BetMania line. Cub Swanson at plus 360. And you think it's because he gets a decision here or gets a finish?
That I'm not entirely sure of. I think Cub is a very good striker who can finish a fight at any given moment. It's just it's a tough one. I'm not sure exactly how it goes, but I think it's fought mostly standing up. And, I think Cub can have the advantage there. If he were to finish, I would see it in the second or third rounds, but I think he might get a decision here. I don't know.
All right, Andreas Hale just thinking Swanson getting a little bit too disrespected here. That's why line chopping is so important. If you have BetMania, you can get plus 360. Great breakdown of the main card. Once again, Andreas Hale is going with TJ Dillashaw as an official pick to get a win, minus 115. Also an official pick on the under in the Cejudo Demetrius Johnson fight, 4.5 at minus 150. The Holland and Santos fight is going to be a pass for both of us, but I definitely am leaning Holland at plus 300. Again, Andreas Hale taking a shot with Cub Swanson at plus 360, and the Aldredge-Viana fight, I'm definitely a believer in Aldredge at these odds. I'm taking Aldredge by decision at plus 300, and the fight going the distance at minus 145. Those are our official picks for UFC 227. Andreas Hale, thanks so much. Once again, we'll talk to you very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Andreas, thanks.
All right. Thanks.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.